Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is, what is it, Sam?
Warlock Wednesday.
Warlock Wednesday. All right. And today we will be discussing the Eldritch Invocation, Gaze of Two Minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can use your action to touch a willing humanoid and perceive through its senses until the end of your next turn. As long as the creature's on the same plane of existence as you, you can use your action on subsequent turns to maintain this connection, extending the duration until the end of your next turn. While perceiving through the other creature's senses, you benefit from any special senses possessed by that creature, and you are blinded and deafened to your own surroundings. So this is like a familiar connection, but with anybody. Is
All
that
right.
good?
I don't know. The problem that stands out to me. You need to touch the creature.
Yep.
Which means you're going to be pretty nearby.
Yep.
So you can already see what it sees anyway.
Yep.
What am I missing?
Nothing. Welcome to the most cryptic, impossible to use little invocation that ever was. And when I say impossible to use, I don't mean like coming up with scenarios where you might want it. Like, well, maybe our druid's going to fly off into the cave and I want to be able to see through their senses the whole time just in case they get in trouble. I'm talking about like real cases. I'm talking about whenever you're at the table and it's on your character sheet and you go, oh, thank God I have Gaze of Two Minds. I have seen probably about 5 characters put this on their character sheet, and it has been the quickest invocation I've seen taken off of a character sheet ever, just because it doesn't get used, right? It lingers around. It's a cool idea. The idea is like, oh, I can see through their senses, but you're blinded after your own, so you're like half scouting with somebody else, and that's just not that good. That's the foundational problem with it, is being able to see through someone else's senses in a tabletop role-playing game that's collaborative, where everyone's talking, where the DM is normally saying the things they're seeing out loud to the party, which like loosely informs you and your player character, even if you don't want to admit it does, about the goings on. Like, that meta is still happening, making this not particularly effective. And that's like in his best case scenario, right? In the situation where you're delving into the darkness and someone goes off on their own, which is already really ill-advised to do in Dungeons and Dragons, that is when this is usable. And beyond that, it's not really usable.
All right, let me. I don't really get the duration thing. All right, so you touch the creature, you can see through its senses until your next turn, but you can like concentrate on it or something and go one more turn, or indefinitely.
Yes, so as long as you spend an action every turn perceiving through its senses, each time you'll increase it by a subsequent turn. So as long as every action you're spending basically is to extend the duration of this, you can have it go as long as you'd like.
All right, still, I mean that's something, I guess. Not really much. I mean, because you touch your friend,
Yep.
they go off and do whatever they do, wild shape into a bird, go fly above. All right, so you could see things that you wouldn't normally be able to see, or the druid could just come back and report what they saw. I, the only
Which
other,
normally is like skipped over as just something that's assumed to have happened, right? The bird comes back and you all just know. There's not even like a scene that is the dirt bird telling you what it saw. It's just assumed that they do, and then you move forward with that.
the only other way I can think you could use this is like an enemy, like
It has to be willing.
you. Oh, it does.
Yep.
Oh crap! Never mind. All right. Well, that one's off the table.
So conceivably, so you're blind to your own senses, but you can still do other things. So maybe there's a situation you set up where you have someone go in alone and you can see through their senses, and you and the rest of the party have set up an ambush, right? And you're using their senses to let you know exactly when it's correct for you to jump out without necessarily revealing the target that you've Gaze of Two Minds is on your team, right? Like maybe one of your party members is like a noble or something, and you have them go into the courts that they were born and raised in or whatever, and they are going along just fine. They don't want to blow their cover, so you use Gaze of Two Minds, see what they're seeing, you break out of the cupboards and start killing people, right? That then doesn't incriminate specifically the nobleman, right? But you gain information from that. I'd like you to recognize how unbelievably specific that example is, because it is not going to happen in almost any table. but that is a use case conceivably this should have, right? Is you can get signals and espionage and information without being present. And if you can use that information in the moment the information is being gained, it might have some amount of value. That just doesn't really happen that much in this game. We spend so much of this game trying to figure out what we're seeing in the first place, trying to have everyone as close to the same mental image as possible, that the game works against this existing by having everyone trying to share this collaborative image, because this wants you to have differences of understandings of what's going on, and this clears that up. And that it isn't a real factor. It's so many games that it can justify it existing on your sheet.
The other big problem I have with this is that, scrying exists.
Yeah.
I mean, how is this
Familiars
different?
exist.
If familiars exist.
Warlocks can get one. You can just stick that on the back of the parrot and have it fly off into the night, fly off with the bat into the night, right? Like,
Yeah, that's a thing you can do, but if you, like you were talking about, you want to the nobleman or whatever, it might be weird if a bat flies in there.
sure.
But you could scry on the nobleman, scry on whatever. Or
Arcane Eye.
scry on the enemy. Like they don't have to be willing.
Sure. I mean, we're comparing apples to oranges here, right? This is an invocation. Those are spells for what that's worth. This is available level 2.
Right.
Those are available a little bit later down the road.
Yeah.
And they're not available necessarily to, like, warlocks don't want to take them because of how their pack magic works for the most part, right?
Yeah,
that's also
true.
a consideration.
Yeah, that's a big consideration.
That doesn't make us better, though.
Man, this is a tough one.
Yeah, I want this to be good. I want this to have interesting use cases. I think foundationally just doesn't do anything important, and that's where it ultimately is going to end up being really lackluster. I will be baffled if you can find more than 2 times in an entire campaign where you could use this and have it be doing anything that is relevant or impactful to the game state, right? Like, maybe if you're at the highest intrigue, political espionage, no one trusts each other, you need a clean, exact, a constant string of clean, exact methods of gaining information without giving up someone's cover, then maybe, but that is so unbelievably specific. I can't imagine it applies to 99% plus of tables. So I would not recommend this to basically anyone. It's cool conceptually, it's just really bad.
Yeah, I even like the name, Gaze of Two Minds.
I think the effect is also, like, that's a neat magical ability. It's unique-ish in that you touch somebody and you now are getting their senses and can prolong that as long as you'd like. The just reality of D&D is that's not good. Like, the conceptually being able to experience someone else's life is neat. In mechanics, it's pretty worthless.
I got nothing else.
Neither do I. This is a sad 1 out of 5.
Yeah, 1 out of 5 it is. I can't argue. Perhaps our listeners can, our viewers. What do you think of Gaze of Two Minds? We'd love to know what you think down in the comments, so let us know.
Your stories about when it actually worked would be really cool to hear. Maybe there's some busted builds that somehow weaponize other creatures' senses in a way that lets you, like, cast spells from your position using their senses or something. I don't know if that could possibly exist. I doubt it, but, like, maybe that could be nifty. I don't think it will be particularly exciting or good, but yeah, sure, hit me with it. Let me see what you got. There's got to be some way to break this, right? Maybe, probably not.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure there is. Especially, like, there's just so many alternatives that do the same thing or very, very similar things. All right, that was Gaze of Two Minds. Hope you enjoyed this Warlock Wednesday. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. Like and subscribe and all that, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.